The scripture Mahanirvana Tantra is brought to you by Not a Prophet org, the place on the internet to find spiritual guidance powered by artificial intelligence. I seek refuge in the Devi of speech, three-eyed, encircled with a white halo, whose face, hands, feet, middle body, and breast are composed of the 50 letters of the alphabet, on whose radiant forehead is the crescent moon, whose breasts are high and rounded, and who with one of her lotus hands makes Jnana mudra, and with the other holds the rosary of Rudraksha beads, the jar of nectar. And learning, having thus meditated upon the Devi Matrika, place the letters in the 6 chakras as follows: Ha and Ksha in the Ajna lotus, the 16 vowels in the Vishuddha lotus, the letters from Ka to Tha in the Anahata lotus, the letters from Da to Fa in Manipura lotus, the letters from Ba to Le in the Svadhisthana lotus, and in the Muladhara lotus, the letters Va to Sa. And having thus in his mind placed these letters of the alphabet, let the worshipper place them outwardly, having placed them on the forehead, the face, eyes, ears, nose, cheeks, upper lip, teeth, head, hollow of the mouth, back, the hump of the back, navel, belly, heart, shoulders, 4 joints in the arms, end of the arms, heart, 4 joints of the legs, ends of legs, and on all parts from the heart to the 2 arms, from the heart to the 2 legs, from the heart to the mouth, and from the heart to the different parts as above indicated. Pranayama should be performed draw in the air by the left nostril, whilst muttering the Maya Vija 16 times. Then fill up the body by Kumbhaka, by stopping the passage of both the nostrils with the little, 3rd finger and thumb, whilst making japa of the Vija 60, 4 times, and lastly exhale the air through the right nostril, whilst making japa of the Vija 30, 2 times the doing of this thrice through the right and left nostrils. Alternately is pranayama. After this has been done, Rishi-nyasa should be performed. The revealers of the mantra are Brahma and the Brahmarshis. The meter is of the Gayatri and other forms, and its presiding Devata is Adya Kali. The Vija is the Vija of the Adya. Its Shakti is the Maya Vija, and that which comes at the end is the Kamala Vija. Then the mantra should be assigned to the head, mouth, heart, anus, the 2 feet, and all the parts of the body, the passing of the 2 hands 3 or 7 times over the whole body, from the feet to the head, and from the head to the feet, making japa meanwhile of the Mula-mantra is called Vyapaka-nyasa, which yields the declared result, O beloved, by adding in succession the 6 long vowels to the first Vija of the Mula-mantra. 6 Vidya are formed. The wise worshipper should in Angga-alpana utter in succession these or the Mula-mantra alone, and then say, to the 2 thumbs, to the 2 index fingers, to the 2 middle fingers, to the 2 ring fingers, to the 2 little fingers, to the front and back of the 2 palms, concluding with Namah, Svaha, Vashat, Hung, Vashat, and Fat in their order, respectively. When touching the heart, say Namah. When touching the head, Svaha. And when touching the crown lock thereon, Vashat. Similarly, when touching the 2 upper portions of the arms, the 3 eyes, and the 2 palms, utter the mantras Hung and Vashat and Fat, respectively. In this manner, nyasa of the 6 parts of the body should be practiced, and then the vira should proceed to Pitha-nyasa. Then let the vira place in the lotus of the heart, the Adhara-shakti, tortoise, Shesha serpent, Prithivi, the ocean of ambrosia, the gem island, the Parijata tree, the chamber of gems which fulfill all desires, the jeweled altar, and the lotus seat. Then he should place on the right shoulder, the right hip, the left hip, respectively, and in their order, Dharma, Jnana, Aishvarya, and Virajya, and the excellent worshipper should place the negatives of these qualities on the mouth, the left side, the navel, and the right side, respectively. Next let him place in the heart and Angga-kanda, sun, moon, fire, the 3 qualities, adding to the first of their letters the sign Vindu, and the filaments and pericarp of the lotus. And let him place in the petals of the lotus the 8 Pitha-nakas Mangala, Vijaya, Bhadra, Jayanti, Aparajita, Nandini, Narasinghi, Vaishnavi, and in the tips of the petals of the lotus the 8 Bhairavas Asatanga, Shanda, Kapali, Krodha, Bishana, Unmata, Ruru, Sanghari. Then the worshipper should, after forming his hands into the Kachchapa mudra, take 2 fragrant flowers, and placing his hands on his heart, let him meditate upon the ever-existent Devi, the nature of meditation upon thee, O Devi. is of two kinds, according as thou art imagined formless or with a form. As formless thou art ineffable and incomprehensible, imperceptible. Of thee it cannot be said that thou art either this or that. Thou art omnipresent, unobtainable, attainable only by yogis through penances and acts of self-restraint. I will now speak of meditation upon thee in corporeal form, in order that the mind may learn concentration, that desires be speedily achieved, and that the power to meditate according to the subtle form may be aroused. The form of the greatly lustrous Kalika, mother of Kala who devours all things, is imagined according to her qualities and actions. Dhyana. I adore the Adya Kali, whose body is of the hue of the dark ring, cloud, upon whose forehead the moon gleams, the three-eyed one, clad in crimson raiment, whose two hands are raised, the one to dispel fear, and the other to bestow blessing, who is seated on a red lotus in full bloom, her beautiful face radiant, watching Mahakala, who, drunk with the delicious wine of the Madhuka flower, is dancing before her after having meditated upon the Devi in this form, and placed a flower on his head. Let the devotee with all devotion worship her with the articles of mental worship. Let him offer the lotus of the heart for her seat, the ambrosia trickling from the lotus of 1,000 petals for the washing of her feet, and his mind as arghya. Then let him offer the same ambrosia as water for rinsing of her mouth and bathing of her body. Let him offer the essence of the ether to be raiment of the Devi, the essence of scent to be the perfumes, his own heart and vital air, the essence of fire and the ocean of nectar, to be respectively the flowers, incense, light, and food offerings of worship. Let him offer the sound in the Anahata chakra for the ringing of the bell, the essence of the air for the fan and fly, whisk, and the functions of the senses and the restlessness of the mind for dance before the Devi. Let various kinds of flowers be offered for the attainment of the object of one's desire. Amaya, Anahankara, Araga, Amata, Amoha, Adampa, Advesha, Akshabha, Amatsarya, Alabha, and thereafter the 5 flowers, namely, the most excellent flowers, Ahimsa, Indriya, Igraha, Daya, Kshama, and Jnana. With these 15 flowers, 15 qualities of disposition, he should worship the Devi. Then let him offer to the Devi the ocean of ambrosia, a mountain of meat and fried fish, a heap of parched food, grain cooked in milk with sugar and ghee, the kila nectar, the kila flower, and the water which has been used for the washing of the Shakti. Then, having sacrificed all lust and anger, the cause of all impediments, let him do japa. The mala rosary prescribed consists of the letters of the alphabet, strung on kundalini as the thread. After reciting the letters of the alphabet from Atala, with the Vindu superposed upon each, the Mula-mantra should be recited. This is known as Anuloma. Again, beginning with La and ending with A, let the sadhaka make japa of the mantra. This is known as Viloma and Kesh. Akara is called the Meru. The last letters of the 8 groups should be added to the Mula-mantra, and having made japa of this mantra of 108 letters, the japa should be offered to the Devi with the following mantra: O Adya Kali, who abidest in the innermost soul of all, who art the innermost light, O Mother, accept this japa of my heart. I bow to thee. Having finished the japa, he should mentally prostrate himself, touching the ground with the 8 parts of his body. Having concluded the mental worship, let him commence the outer worship. I am now speaking of the consecration of the Visheshargya, by the mere placing whereof the Devata is exceedingly pleased. Do thou listen at the mere sight of the cup of this offering. The yoginis, Bhairavas, Brahma, and other Devatas dance for joy and grant Siddh. I, the disciple, should on the ground in front of him and on his left draw with water taken from the Samanyarg, a triangle with the Maya Vija in its center, outside the triangle a circle, and outside the circle a square, and let him there worship the Shakti of the Adhara with the mantra, a tring, obeisance to the Shakti of the Adhara. He should then wash the Adhara, and place it on the mandala, and worship the region of fire with the mantra. Mang, obeisance to the circle of fire, possessed of 10 sections. And having washed the arghya vessel with the mantra fat, the worshipper should place it on the Adhara with the mantra Namah. He should then worship the cup with the mantra Aing, obeisance to the circle of sun, who has 12 divisions, and fill the vessel in which the offering is made, whilst repeating the Mula-mantra, 3 parts with wine and 1 part with water, and having placed scent and flower in it, he should there worship, O Mother, with the mantra following mantra, Ang. Obeisance to the moon with its 16 digits. He should then place in front of the special offering, on bay leaves dipped in red sandal paste, durva grass, flowers, and sun, dried rice having invoked the holy waters of the sacred rivers in the Arghya by the Mula-mantra and Angga-nyasa mudra. The sadhaka should meditate upon the Devi and worship her with incense and flowers, making japa of the Mula-mantra 12 times. After this, let it display over the Arghya, the Dhenu mudra, and the Yoni mudra, incense sticks and a light. The worshipper should then pour a little water from the Arghya into the vessel, kept for that purpose, and sprinkle himself and the offering therewith. The vessel containing the offering must not, however, be moved until the worship is concluded, O thou of pure smiles. I have now spoken of the consecration of the special offering. I will now pass to the principal yantra, which grants the aims of all human existence. Draw a triangle with the Maya Vija within it, and around it 2 concentric circles, the one outside the other. In the space between the 2 circumferences of the circles, draw in pairs the 16 filaments, and outside these the 8 petals of the lotus, and outside them the bhupura, which should be made of straight lines with 4 entrances, and be of pleasing appearance in order to cause pleasure to the Devata. The disciple should reciting the Mula-mantra the mean, while draw the yantra either with a gold needle or with a thorn of a bale tree on a piece of gold, silver, or copper, which has been smeared with either the svayambhu, kunda, or gola flowers, or with sandal, fragrant aloe, kunkuma, or with red sandal paste. A clever carver may also carve the yantra on crystal, coral, or lapis lazuli after it has been consecrated by auspicious rites. It should be kept inside the house, and on this being done all wicked ghosts, all apprehensions from adverse planets, and diseases are destroyed, and by the grace of this yantra, the worshipper's house becomes of pleasing aspect. With his children and grandchildren, and with happiness and dominion, he becomes a bestower of gifts and charities, a protector of his dependents, and his fame goes abroad after having drawn the yantra and placed it on a jeweled altar in front of the worshipper, and having worshipped the Devata of the Pitha according to the rules of Pitha-nyasa. The principal Devi should be adored in the pericarp of the lotus. I will now speak of the placing of the jar and the formation of the circle of worship, by the mere institution of which the Devata is well pleased. The mantra becomes fruitful, and the wishes of the worshipper are accomplished. The jar is called kalasa, because Vishvakarma made it from the different parts of each of the Devatas. It should be 36 fingers breadth in circumference in its widest part, and 16 in height. The neck should be 4 fingers breadth, the mouth 6 fingers, and the bottom 5 fingers breadth. This is the rule for the design of the kalasha. It should be made either of gold, silver, copper, bell metal, mud, stone, or glass, and without hole or crack. In its making, all miserliness should be avoided, since it is fashioned for the pleasure of the devas. A kalasha of gold, 1 of silver, 1 of copper, and 1 of bell metal give enjoyment, emancipation, pleasure of mind, and nourishment respectively to the worshipper. 1 of crystal is good for the attainment of vashikarana, and 1 of stone for the attainment of stambhana. A kalasha made of mud is good for all purposes. Whatever it is made of, it should be clean and of pleasing design. On his left side, the worshipper should draw a hexagon with a point in its center, around it a circle, and outside the circle a square. These figures should be drawn either with vermilion or rajas kilapushpa, or red sandal paste. The Devata of the support should then be worshipped thereon. The mantra for the worship of the Shakti or Devi of the support is mantra, a tring salutation to the Shakti of the support. The support for the jar should be washed with the mantra Namah, and placed on the mandala, and the jar itself with the mantra fat, and then placed on the support. Let the disciple then fill the kalasha with wine, uttering meanwhile the Mula-mantra and the Matrika-varnas. With Vindu in Viloma order, the wise one, who is then himself possessed of the disposition of the Devi, should worship region of fire, sun, and moon in the support in the jar, and in the wine in the manner already described, after decorating the jar with vermilion, red sandal paste, and a garland of crimson flowers.
The worshipper should perform Panchakarana, strike the wine, jar with a wisp of Ksha grass, saying fat. Then, whilst uttering the Vija hung, veil it by the Avaganthana mudra, next utter the Vajra.
Ring and look with unwinking eye upon the jar, then sprinkle the jar with the mantra Namah. Lastly, whilst reciting the Mula-mantra, smell the jar 3 times.
This is the Panchakarama ceremony, making obeisance to the jar. Purify the wine therein by throwing red flowers into it, and say the following mantra.
Ong, O Devi Sud.
By the Supreme Brahman, who is one without a second, and who is always both gross and subtle, destroy the sin of slaying a Brahmana, which attached to thee the wine by the death of Ha-Ksha, O thou.
Haste thy abode in the region of the sun, and thy origin in the dwelling, place of the Lord of Ocean, in the churning of which thou, O nectar,
wast produced, thou who art one with the Maya Vija, mayest thou be freed from the curse of Chakra, O Devi. As the pranava of the Vedas is one with the bliss of Brahman, may by that truth be destroyed thy sin of slaying a Brahmana.
Mantra Ring. The Supreme Ha-Ksha dwells in the brilliant heaven. As Vasu, it moves throughout the space between heaven and earth. It dwells on earth in the form of the Vedic fire, and in the sacrificer, and is honored in the guest. It is in the household fire, and in the consciousness of man, and dwells in the honored region. It resides in truth and in the ether. It is born in water, in the rays of light in truth, and in the eastern hill, where the sun rises. Such is the great Aditya, the truth, which cannot be bound or concealed, the great consciousness, who dwelleth everywhere. Brahman exchange the vowel of the Varuna Vija for each of the long vowels. Then say, Salutation to the Devi of Ambrosia, who is relieved of the curse of Brahma.
By the repetition of the entire mantra 7 times, the curse of Brahma is removed, substituting in their order the 6 long vowels in place of the letter O in Angga-nyasa, and adding thereto the Shri and Maya Vijas. Say the following mantra, remove the curse of Krishna in the wine, pour nectar again and again, Svaha. Having thus removed the curse of Chakra, of Brahma, and of Krishna, the worshipper should with mind-controlled worship Ananda, Bhairava and Anan. De Bhairavi, the mantra of the former is mantra. Ha-Ksha al-Ivara. Young, salutation to Ananda, Bhairava, Vashat. And in the worship of the Ananda Bhairavi, the mantra is the same, except that its face is reversed, and in place of its ear, the left eye should be placed, and then should be said, mantra. Ha-Ksha al-Ivara. Ying, salutation to the wine Devi, Vashat. Then, meditating upon the union of the Deva and Devi in the wine, and thinking that the same is filled with the ambrosia of such union, japa should be made over it of the Mula-mantra 12 times. Then, considering the wine to be the Devata, handfuls of flowers should be offered with japa of the Mula-mantra. Lights and incense sticks should be waved before it to the accompaniment of the ringing of a bell. Wine should be always thus purified in all ceremonies, whether puja of the Devata, vrata, homa, marriage, or other festivals. The disciple, after placing the meat on the triangular mandala in front of him, should sprinkle it with the mantra fat, and then charge it thrice with the vijas of air. And fire, let him then cover it up with the gesture of the veil, uttering the Kaivacha mantra, and protect it with the weapon, mantra fat. Then, uttering the Vija of Varuna and displaying the Dhenumudra, make the meat like unto nectar with the following mantra. May that Devi whose abode is in the breast of Vishnu and in the breast of Shankara purify this my meat, and give me a resting place at the excellent foot of Vishnu in a similar manner, placing the fish and sanctifying it with the mantras already prescribed. Let the wise one say the following mantra over it, mantra. We worship the Father of the Three, he who causes nourishment, he who is sweet, scented. As the fruit of the urvaruka is detached of itself from the stalk on which it grows, so may he free us whilst living from the bond of karma, until we are finally liberated and made one with the Supreme. Then, O beloved, the disciple should take and purify the parched grain with the following mantras. Ong. As the eye of heaven is plainly visible to those of the common man, so do the wise have constant vision of the excellent foot of Vishnu, the intelligent and prayerful, whose mind is awake and controlled, see the most excellent foot of Vishnu, or all the tattvas may be consecrated by the Mula-mantra itself. To him who has belief in the root, of what use are the branches and leaves? I say that anything which is sanctified by the Mula-mantra alone is acceptable for the pleasure of the Devata if the time be short, or if the disciple be pressed for time. Everything should be sanctified with the Mula-mantra and offered to the Devi truly, truly, and again truly. The ordinance of Shankara is that if the tattvas be so offered, there is no sin or shortcoming. End of fifth. Joyful message entitled The Formation of the Mantras, Placing of the Jar, and Purification of the Elements of Worship.